You are looking at a daily chart of the Nasdaq. Today is Tuesday, June 11th, and another good day on the Nasdaq as you can see the uptrend here from the 15,222 on was April 18th, April 19th. And then the rally that we've been in, this power trend rally. Today it was up 151 points or 0.88% and closed at a record high 17,343, and you could see that hammer candle as it closed near the highs of the session. 345 was the high, and it closed at 344 essentially. So a lot of buying going on today in the tech stocks, including the big tech stocks. And anyway, I got to stop right there and just say, I know there's a lot of negative sentiment out there, and there's people who think that very skeptical of this market, like the economy's not that good and inflation's in the way, and there's all sorts of reasons for NVIDIA to crash, and you just can't listen to any of that because the market tells you the story, and the story is, it's going higher. Okay, one small problem that I have with the index is the NASDAQ is now 6% above the 50. Okay, you can see in the red number there, simple moving average, SMA 50. Yeah, it's 6% above there. And we know that it's getting towards the top of that channel here. So a little pullback, I wouldn't mind, be a little healthy. It shows us, it gives us a lot of information when stocks pull back because, we can see where they're being supported and where institutions are buying them. So I don't mind, a small little pullback. And I think, maybe we get one, not like this one here on May 31st, but man, ever since June hit, this market has really ripped. Yeah, it's up 3.6% in the month of June, which is, just what's today? I just said it's the 11th. Anyway, welcome to my daily review. I've got a lot of stuff to go over. The index is making new highs. That's super bullish. I'll go over to the S&P. Why not? Not quite as strong as the Nasdaq, as you can see. That is 3.5% above its 50. The Nasdaq is a leading index. Why? Well, because of stocks like Apple. And I stuck my foot in my mouth last night and said, oh, Apple doesn't make big moves. It ripped right through. It shows you what a dummy I am. It ripped right through that buy point there of 198. Okay, so I thought I'd have problems with 200. No sirree. This is not Aunt Sally buying this stock. This is a $3 trillion stock, and it had massive volume today. Obviously, the conference in Cupertino yesterday, most people said, hey, it was kind of okay. And, some people said it was a home run. Well, you don't need to listen to what people say because people vote with their pocketbooks. And like I said, this is not Aunt Sally buying. These are big institutions thinking Apple is a big player in AI now. So, when a stock this big makes a move like that, it usually doesn't stop with just, one day. Now, I'm not saying it's going to go to the moon, but my philosophy when it goes, breaks out of a base and makes a new high like that, I think it should go, 10 to 20% higher. That's right, 220 to 240 would not surprise me here. I'm not saying, jump in and chase it here, but if it pulls back a little bit and allows these moving averages to catch up, I do think it's going higher. Anyway, nice 7% move on massive volume for Apple. That's a move not to be ignored. The growth's going to come later, allegedly. And there's a lot of companies that rely on Apple and are affiliated with Apple and kind of need Apple to do well, for them to do well. And one of them is Affirm, which they said, Affirm is going to be a part of the Apple package. And so that stock got a boost today. This is the buy now, pay later company, 11% move with nice volume. So good for the folks at Affirm. And then there's App. I guess App was cut out of the Apple. I don't know that much about it. A friend who's more well-versed on the technology than I am said that App what got cut out. He didn't think it was that big of a deal, but it sliced its 50 today and then recovered nicely. So if we take a look at the the 5-minute chart on App, once the news came out, man, Wall Street, they just, shoot first and ask questions later. They sell, sell, sell. Sold this thing down to about $73, and then it, recovered, closed there above 77. So, yeah, 2 weeks ago we had Celsius had one of these moves, and last week it was Melly, and then this week I'm picking one a week that just are having a hard time. But most of the stocks that I'm picking are doing pretty well, and if you're going to have 1 out of 10, that's fine. That's a very good ratio. Heck, if you're shooting 50%, you're doing great in this market, in any market. Anyway, I digress. Anyway, Apple had a good day. You can see some of the players. If you're in with Apple, you're good. If you're not, then you're going to struggle a little bit. And then of course I have to get to a couple other stocks. I've only been showing 3 of these magnificent 7 stocks because these are the 3 I like: Apple, Meta, and NVIDIA. Meta is just consolidating in this base, and it is having a little trouble at the 500 number. And I wouldn't say it's out of the woods. Powell's going to speak tomorrow. They're not going to do anything on rates, but they're going to parse every stupid single word that he says. And there's going to be some volatility. So maybe if it pulls back below 500, you get a chance to get in there. But definitely setting up in a base. And I like Meta right here. And it should be on our ready list. I'm just a little cautious ahead of the Fed because the market acts funny, or what, they just parse every word that he says, and sometimes it's volatile, and I don't want to get too heavy if, we're going to pull back the Nasdaq 6% above the 50. If it comes back to 4%, that's a 2% move, and your growth stocks are going to move 4 or 5% lower, and I don't want to get shaken out. Anyway, NVIDIA made this move here from 97 to 125. That's the move, folks. I mean, I know people are expecting this thing to go to 140, 150. I doubt if that happens. I mean, it might, but come on, let's face it, this thing's had a mega move. I trimmed some. I trimmed half actually of my shares, and I'm okay with just holding it. I'm also okay if it comes back a little bit. I'm not expecting it to just continue to ramp higher. Um, that's a big move for a big company, and it needs to digest its gains a little bit. So be patient with NVIDIA. If it hangs at 120 here, that's fantastic. I think, it could just form a little flat base pattern here for a few weeks. Yeah, that looks fantastic. I mean, you see on the weekly, this consolidation, it was up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is the 9th week in a row. So give it a break here. Even if it goes 3 weeks tight, trades tight for this week and next week, that would be fantastic. Just don't expect it to go up every day. All right, I'm going to get off my soapbox and go to some of the other names. Actually, I'm going to jump right back on the soapbox because Broadcom has been upgraded the last couple days. It's up $54 or nearly 4%, but they report earnings this week. And what, just wait for the earnings. Tomorrow they report. So to me, it's like I'm not going to jump in here before earnings. I'm going to wait to see what they have to say. Now, I will say technically this looks like this looks like kind of a breakout here with the base and then the cup and then the handle pattern here, and now it's starting to break out. So it wouldn't surprise me if they report strong numbers and the stock moves up 10%. That wouldn't surprise me at all. In fact, I kind of expect it. They should. I mean, if AI is starting to hit the balance sheets, these stocks should start seeing some serious gains, and just got to wait till they report tomorrow. A nice week so far though for Broadcom. ARM, although that doesn't look like a bad chart. This is 145. I would say that would be your early entry. I mean, if you had bought earlier on that, downtrend trending line there, not bad either as it broke out there, but still forming the right side of a base here. And the paint by numbers is 164. I wouldn't wait till that long, but this one is acting well, just building the right side of the base. So I like ARM. I do not like AMD. I don't know what's going on here. Qualcomm said they had a better product than AMD. It doesn't matter. What matters is sales and earnings growth. So you could say you have better products all you want, but AMD downgraded yesterday, took it pretty hard, and then today sold off another 1%, and it's down more than 5% this week. That's not a good week for the AMD shareholders. Lam Research, This is one that I would put on my ready list, but it's just, I don't want to get too aggressive ahead of the Fed. Like I say, I got enough stocks on there already. I don't know. I might decide to put it on tomorrow, but it's definitely set up in a base, and one that I like here. If you take a look at the, just kind of like the overall cup kind of with handle pattern there, now starting to move higher. Had an inside day today. Yeah, I kind of like Lamb Research. I don't know. I'm torn. I might put it on, but I don't want to get too aggressive ahead of the inflation data, which should be pretty tame, and then Powell speaking. You never know what they're going to say. They all have an agenda. So our Lam Research looks good. Applied Materials is another semiconductor equipment stock that just broke out. Kind of looks like Lam, it's ahead of Lam a little bit, right? It's got this double bottom pattern, then had this pullback to the 50, now just breaking higher. So that looks like a really nice pattern for Applied Materials as well. Okay, I'm going to move on from the semiconductor. I got to get to the hardware names. These computer data storage. They really like this group. I've got two of them on my ready list. I could have more, but they're just really strong stocks, really strong group. You can see here, top group. And to me, Micron is just starting to push away from its base. I still think it's actionable, although, one of these days, it's probably going to pull back to its 10 there and give you a better chance. But that 130.54 is definitely the standard buy point. You can see the cup shape, the pullback to the 50, and that was your chance, right? This 3-day sell-off, and now it's moving higher. STX is Seagate. I used to have friends that worked at Seagate over there in Scotts Valley. Good company. And this is one of those, it's just a cyclical business. And this group is in favor. I could have this one on my ready list as well with that 97 and 95 buy point there, or 99.20. This looks fantastic. Still actionable. Made a new high today above the old 101.26. We'll see if it has problems with 100 and allows the moving averages to catch up. But Seagate, definitely another strong stock in the group. WDC, another one that I have on my ready list. This one's starting to push away from its base, kind of flat today. Still looks fantastic to me. This group, I think the leader is Pure Storage. It had this little wonky move around earnings, but now pull back to the 21. It's just going up every day. Yeah, I know it's only 0.75%, but still, we like to see our stocks going higher. At least I do. And then NTAP, NetApp, this one made a new high today, and it just had a double bottom base pattern, and it looks kind of similar to Seagate, just moving a little higher. It's a little bit ahead, so maybe this one and Pure Storage are the two leaders of the group, but this is not actionable. That would be chasing there. Very strong move for NTAP. Yeah, it's 15% above the 50 and 7.5% above the 21. So yeah, just trending though. Kelly Slater stock surfing the moving averages, looks fantastic. Okay, I'm going to switch it up and go to some of the retail names. On Holding had at least one upgrade. It might have had two upgrades today with raised price targets. I forget who raised it to $50. Might have been UBS. They were saying that, could be a fad, or it could have, be a sustainable, company, which I think it is. I just, don't know how much they're going to grow. And the company that had the upgrade said they think it's got legs. So they raised the price target to 50. It's up 3.5% this week. And this is just emerging from the, IPO due diligence phase. Now it's in its advanced stage, and you never know how far these are going to advance in their advanced phase. CROX is another shoe company. This one had a big move yesterday. It bounced off its 21 and was up almost 5% yesterday. So you look at today, what happens after this big move from Monday, where it made this big move, right? What happens? Whoop, we got profit taking, right? So it sold off. Profit takers come in. It was down three something bucks today, down to 150, 78, 150, 62. And then it started, buyers came in, and buyers pushed this thing higher, closed up on the session. So yeah, if you got it at 150 and it closed at 154, that's a nice trade. I still like it though, above 155.04. I know that the standard buy point is around 147, but and it might be chasing it a little bit, but I still think this thing is going higher, bouncing off that 21. CROX looks great. And another one of my favorite growth stocks is ELF. This one sold off with the Estee Lauder. Sometimes stocks just sell off and profit taking, and people have held them for a long time and or a year or more, and they just want to move on and take profits and go to another stock, a different group for whatever reason. It doesn't matter. It's sold off, and now it's formed this base here, building the right side of the base. And what I like about this base here is it made a low of 153.72 on this date here, April 22nd, which is right around the low of the Nasdaq or the index. And then it came back and retested that low and actually undercut the low, kind of like a double bottom. And it made a low of 150.49 on May 20th. But since then, it had earnings and really ramped higher on earnings, 18%, and then pulled back to its moving average, ramped higher to 202, and then pulled back to the moving average again in the last couple of days. But really, all this is doing is just building the right side of the base. Is the old, share owners sold, now some new ones come in, and it builds right side of the base. And I would imagine if they report good numbers here in a little bit, maybe 6 weeks or so, I don't know, 2 months, it's probably going to wrap higher, maybe even before then. This company has the fundamentals that I like, the strong sales growth. I know 71 is not 85, but if it grows at 50, I'm okay with that. Earnings growth above 25. They talked about that on their conference call. Not really too worried about any of the fundamentals of ELF. It's just the kind of the valuation, and if rates are coming in, multiples are going to go up. And I think rates are going to come in, maybe not right away, but towards the end of the year. And the multiples are going to go up on some of these growth stocks. So it is an expensive stock. It's a 10 billion company with, I don't know, 1.5 billion in sales. So anyway, ELF, I just like the pattern here, kind of a double bottom and making this cup with handle. And it's been, I believe, 14 weeks in the making here. You can see how it bases, runs up, bases, runs up. Now it's formed another base. I know it's stage 2, but it still has legs, I believe. And if you're one of these long-term, it's going to be the next Estee Lauder, and then you just park it in a retirement account and just forget about it. Come back and visit it in 5 years, and it'll send your kids to college. Anyway, I'm going to move on to the drugs. I'm going to go through some different drug stocks today. People get tired of me talking about the weight loss drugs, and that's fine. So I won't talk about Novo Nordisk and Lilly today, but I will talk about, this is the bird flu stock. And this one went, I made a comment like this thing just, seems to want higher prices, right? It went from 4 to essentially 24. So a 6-bagger in what? A very short period of time, from May 9th to what? June 6th. Okay, so in a month, okay, it was a 6-bagger. So now it pulls back to a 21 EMA. Didn't even make it down to the 21. People give me a hard time. I thought it was going to go higher. Well, this is why you don't chase stocks, because they pull back to moving averages, all of them at one point or another. So anyway, this is the bird flu stock. It ran up on news of the flu and it's going to be one of these news-driven stocks. Whenever you hear a story or a headline about bird flu or somebody died or somebody's sick, the algos are going to take it and run it up. And if it's quiet, then there's going to be sellers and profit takers that are going to drive it down. So if you're interested in stuff like that, which I'm not, but this is the bird flu stock, and I'm not the avian influenza. So I'm not really interested in this. I just wanted to point this out. Big move in a short period of time. Not going to go up every day. It is a news driven stock though. And if there are, bird flu stories, the algos will grab that headline and run with it. Anyway, I'm going to move on to TGTX because they had a fireside chat today, and the CEO was talking about buybacks, and thinks his stock is too low. This guy is out to lunch. First of all, you have to have a lot of cash to buy back, and he's not happy with the shorts in his stock. And I don't blame him. This is a heavy short interest in this name, and it's kind of holding the stock back. But at his last conference call, it's 42% off its high, 52-week high. At his last conference call, he raised guidance to 260 million, and that's just not going to chase the shorts out. If he wants to chase the shorts out, he needs to include his VA money and raise guidance to 500 million and say we're going to have earnings. And that's how you chase the shorts out. You have quarter after quarter of raised guidance and show the earnings. It's not, they're not going to leave. Shorts are not stupid, and they're going to have to prove it. They do have the best in show drug. They do have, this earnings line. Earnings are heading due north, and it appears that they're going to have triple-digit earnings growth. But the proof is in the pudding. If you're from Missouri, you got to show me. And I believe this is a very explosive stock with all the shorts in it. And if he does have strong earnings and he does raise guidance and include the VA money on August 7th, this could be, a real explosive stock. I don't want to, predict or guess how high it might go, but it could go a lot higher if he does that. And I think he does have the ammunition. They talked about patients are being switched over to his drug, Briumvi, which is the best in show multiple sclerosis drug. And there was a article out this morning. Since 2000, MS cases have doubled globally, and these guys are licensed in Europe. They have a patent for, I think, till 2042 in the United States. So I don't know really if it's a buyout target. I think they're just going to have to make it on their own, but it's going to take a quarter or two more, and they're going to have to raise guidance. But this could be an explosive stock. That's why I wanted to show you this one. CRDL, this one's been going up. Somebody asked me to look at this one. Broke out of this cup with handle pattern there at 207 and ran up to what, 298. So that's a nice, move, right? And then it just pulled back here to its 21 EMA and found support. It's been up the last couple of days. There was a failed trial by a competitor company, which sparked this one higher. And I was listening to the Novo CEO on Bloomberg the other night, and they're in the market for cardio vascular companies, and they're going to be buying aggressively acquisitions. So they're going to branch out from, their rare diseases and their diabetes and weight loss, and going to be getting into, they already bought a company, I forget which one, but anyway, I just wanted to show this one because it has been so strong. And then the other one in biotech is Insmed, and this one, Gap Tire, I think it was a phase 2 trial. I forget the drug, inhalation lung delivery. I forget the name of the drug. I can get it tomorrow. Anyway, ramped up, formed this little shelf pattern. Now made a new high today, up another 3% today. Anyway, that's it for the drugs. I got to go to the software names. I showed you app earlier, and software is getting really dicey with the AI, because the AI and some of these larger companies like NVIDIA and Microsoft and Apple are going to squash some of these software companies. So if they don't have an AI component, they're going to get whacked around. Like Workday, I believe, is in trouble. Yeah, look at that. There's a lot of them that look like that. So there's a shakeout going on in software, and you just don't want to be on the wrong side of software. Spotify is one that I think is pretty safe because they're in the media business, the music, and this is consolidating in a base. They raised prices today. The stock was only up $1, so that just tells me that it's not ready to go yet. It'll move when it wants to move, but it's hugging this 21 here, which is fine, and consolidating in a base, which is fine. It's not going to move when we want it to move. It's going to move when it wants to move. And it's only been in this base for 5 weeks, stage 3 base, but you can see the earnings line heading due north. I believe, the stocks had a big move. So, every runner needs to rest. So Spotify looks fine to me. Just give it some time. CrowdStrike going into the S&P. This to me is the only cybersecurity stock to own. Up another $10 today, or nearly 3%. Broke out of this base. Made another new high today, right above 385. 385, yeah, above the 384.98 from yesterday. So beat it by 2 cents, right? So anyway, new high for CrowdStrike. But some of these other Yeah, cybersecurity names are just getting crushed, and I think CrowdStrike's the one to own. Zscaler forming a base below the 200 though, Palo Alto. Yeah, software is pretty rough right now. All right, I got to go to the crypto names. I mentioned in the morning, every morning I give a little report on the crypto, and when cryptocurrency is down like it was this morning, it was down like 3% last 24 hours. These stocks usually follow. Coinbase was down, nearly 3% today. Had a rough open and did, fight back a little bit there. You see the gap down at the open, down to 234. It did fight back, closed $10 higher, 244, but not ideal for the crypto. And the price of Bitcoin is kind of cautious ahead of the Fed. You never know what the Fed's going to say or do, so it is sensitive to interest rates as well. I believe there's Hood just taking a breather today after a big move, and then MSTR. I was going to put this on the list. I'm glad I did, and it sliced its 21. It's just consolidating in a base. It's fine. It just give it a couple of days or more. Anyway, that's it for the crypto. I've got to get to these energy names because they sold off last week. I took them off my leading stock list. All this did was pull back to the 50, and then last couple of days, it ramped 8% yesterday, nearly 2% today. So it's up more than 10% for the week, which we'll take that, right? And you can see the sharp pullback, heavy volume last week, the Constellation doing nothing wrong. It was you could see the consolidation, the breakout, the first pullback to the 50 since the breakout. Like I said, just like with CROX, found support and bounce. So usually, in an uptrending market, those first pullbacks to the 50 are gifts. Not always. There's no steadfast rule. Vistra, this one looks pretty good to me. Didn't even make it back to the 50 last couple of days, though. It's been up 3% yesterday, yeah, 3.5% today. So nice bounce off a moving average. You can see the last 2 weeks sold off with volume. So maybe all the sellers are out, 15% off of its high. That one, looks fine to me as well. And then the other one was IREN. What was I going to say about this one? Oh, it's not only a crypto component, but an energy component. So I got upgraded today. I'd say it handled the upgrade pretty well, up 20% there. Closed near the highs of the session. Ooh, that's a big move for Iris Energy. But you could see, it IPO'd right when the market started to crash. The Nasdaq crashed 37% right when this thing IPO'd. So it was a $28 stock. So just keep that in mind. It's breaking out and moving higher. Iris Energy looks good. Okay, another energy, only two solar stocks that I'm interested in right now. This is Next Tracker. Definitely setting up with in a base. This looks a lot like ELF. Slices its 50, it makes kind of a low, retests the low, drives through the moving averages, sells off back to its 10, find support. Now the last couple of days, it's right around that buy point of 58.49. So to me, this is textbook action here. I like Next Tracker. First Solar, a little stronger name. How do I know? Well, it's 16% above its 21, almost 17%. Nice 5% move today for First Solar. You can see it ramped higher and then formed this little shelf pattern, pulled back to the 10, found support. Looks like machine trading. And just a couple of random names. GM. Hey, as GM goes, so goes the market, at least in the 60s and 70s. But man, this consolidated in a base and it's moved higher. I guess they're doing a little better with their electric vehicles, but you can see the consolidation pattern here. GM looks fantastic. And the other one is the glowworm, Corning. You can see this one, GLW. Broke out of a base, moving higher, pulled back to its 10 a couple of times, surfing the 10. It's a Kelly Slater stock, made a new high today. And anyway, that's it for me. Thank you for watching. Tomorrow's a new day. We have the inflation data in the morning. We have Jerome Powell at 2 o'clock Eastern. It's going to be a little volatile. We've got Broadcom earnings tomorrow night. But I lied. I do have one more thing. In honor of the great Steve Jobs, Oracle reported earnings tonight. I don't think the earnings were all that great. I'm not sure. I briefly looked at it. It looked like they kind of were a little light on revenues and earnings, but they announced a partnership with Google. And I think, everything is about looking forward in the market. It's up, nearly 9%. So Oracle looking forward, their deal with Google. I didn't even, I got to find out more about their forward guidance. So we'll know more about that tomorrow morning. But, up, 9%, a big company of, 340 billion market cap, it's definitely going to help the software names tomorrow, but it also could help the Google, which would help the SPY and the Nasdaq as well. So maybe we rally again tomorrow. We're in a strong uptrend. We're in the power trend. This is a special time. This is one where we want to take advantage of this opportunity here. We had this nice power trend that turned off, and then we had this pullback that ended in April. It was from March 21 till April 19th, a 1 month pullback, and now we've been back in this power trend. So this is when we want to step on the gas. We want to be in those winning stocks. And I just have to point out a couple things here. Yesterday the XRT was down, and I pointed out that there was a bunch of retail names that I liked that were doing well. So yesterday on Monday, the XRT was down maybe 0.5% because there's stocks like Victoria's Secret in there, and these stocks are not these stocks are kind of in a downtrend, all right, Lulu. These are in the these are the top holdings for the XRT, but I'm more focused on the leading stocks. If you want to pick losing stocks in retail, you can certainly find them. I'm trying to find the winning stocks. So you got to stick with the winners, and it's a stock picker's market. And I always go back to Bros. I think Bros could be at least a two-bagger or more, probably more. Kava, another one. These are your winning names. You can see the uptrend. Sweet Green, another one in the retail restaurant group. Wing is another one that's just trending higher. Abercrombie and Fitch in the retail group. I mean, you can pick the losers if you want. I want to ride with the winners. So it's very important. The market direction's great. It's in our favor, but it doesn't mean you can just pick any stock and it's going to go higher. You have to be very selective in this market. And I try to show you winners all the time. I have leading stock lists. I have stocks on my ready list that are ready to move higher. So it's definitely critical that you select properly. And I just mentioned ELF earlier. This thing, just look at the weekly. I think that's a winning stock right there. Yeah, it's in a base and it's not going up every day or every week, but it's trending higher. And if you can buy it on a pullback, that's the idea. That's the thing to do. Anyway, I don't know. We're in a bull market, we're in a strong uptrend, but you still have to be selective in your stocks, or you can get hit, like we did with Celsius. This is a stock that was a leading stock, was set up in a base, and it's having a hard time. Melly, the same thing. It's been a strong stock. It's got great fundamentals. It was set up in a base and just fell out and pulled back to its 50. And sometimes stocks do that, you just got to get out of them quickly and move on to the next one. Don't sit there and argue with the market and say, I'm right, the market's wrong, because you lose money that way. Anyway, if you're in cybersecurity, you want crowd, right? You don't want Sentinel-1. I mean, so be selective, be smart, and above all, never give up.